Hey everyone, welcome back to Unicycle Lore. I landed the Rancwhip, finally. I just wanted to spend a little bit of time talking about this because this was the hardest battle I've ever had for a trick ever. I've been unicycling for almost 20 years now, so I just kind of wanted to break down the process of landing this for anyone who's interested in seeing it. Yeah, this was pretty brutal. So just to give you a little bit of context, the first time I ever tried this trick was in 2014 at Unicon at Le Stade Olympique. And I got pretty close, but I didn't actually land the trick I was trying, which, you know, obviously was pedals to pedals. That's what I was looking for. But I think in that session I tried probably for about an hour or two, and I came back to it on August 11th of this year, so it's 11 years later. And on the first day, I have a whole video of this, you can go check it out. I got pretty close. The whip was like a little bit out of control. I was spinning the unicycle, and then, you know, after this I was experimenting for a little while with you know, trying to do this with a fakie flip, like the exact opposite of the in-to-in seat whip. And I got kind of close to that too, but looking back at these attempts, this seems like, you know, this seems crazy to me to try it with the flip, knowing what I know now. Basically, I would have these sessions maybe once a week or so during the summer, and I just started racking up mental cues for things that I thought were helpful. And every time I would go ride, I would try to kind of piece together one new thing here or there that I found helpful, that was getting me closer on each attempt. And then I would have to just go home and not try it again until whenever my next session was. And then in the fall, you know, I'm back at work, teacher, so it just kind of had to go on the back burner. I got a 9-month-old son at home, and I am back at work, and everything was just really busy. And so through the fall, this just couldn't be a priority for me. So it became a little side quest in my life where I'd be kind of like looking ahead on the calendar and be like, oh, this weekend I can't try this. I don't, there's not enough time. But this weekend, I got a free Saturday night. And so I would just, when I would see a day like that, I would start during the week kind of getting mentally ready to give this thing another try. And I had a little notebook where I was logging all of the things that I found helpful, all the little mental cues. And it just got longer and longer and longer. Like I'm talking like this list, it was like, you got to ride under control, not too slow, not too fast. You want to compress the tire during the last quarter rev or so. You got to jump slightly backward, but not too far backward. You have to throw the whip a little bit late while hovering your feet over the pedals, and you got to focus on the left foot, which is the one I kept missing over and over. I'd land with the right foot, but not the left foot. So I'm thinking in my head, focus on the left one. You got to get the hands ready to catch the seat. And then even if all of that comes together and you stomp it, you got to be ready to like catch your balance somehow. I was hoping to pedal out, obviously, but obviously I ended up hopping. And I would just focus on one or two of these things at a time, basically, until I had the technique kind of dialed in. And this is every new session. I would have to do all this stuff. It just spiraled into this crazy mental block, really, is what happened. I'd be thinking about so many things that I couldn't even focus on, like committing. I couldn't just turn my brain off and commit. And so I honestly started to kind of dread these sessions a little bit. And so I decided to just chill out. And I thought what would be helpful is if I just got better at unicycling. Okay, I'd been kind of on a year-long hiatus, hadn't really ridden since last Unicon. And I was like, yeah, if I just get the feel back for landing tricks again, this will be easier for me. I wasn't really in unicycle shape, If you're unicycling all the time and you're riding a lot, it's easier to land tricks. You've got a better feel for what it's like to land it. If everything doesn't come together perfectly, you can still kind of pull it together and make a trick happen. And I just wasn't at that level with my riding. I'm trying this really hard trick when I'm like the worst at unicycling I've ever been. it was just a bad mix. And so I was like, every Friday night when my son goes to bed, I'm just going to go out and ride for an hour. And I did this for a couple weeks in the fall. And it was a lot of fun. I would have my hour-long sessions. It was always like, when I'm at peak exhaustion after a week of work and take care of the baby and everything, I would go out and ride. I landed some cool stuff. I got this is like a gorilla grab is what I was calling it. I was going for it with like the full extension. That might be a trick I try in the new year. I just think it looks kind of funny and pretty cool. So this is what I'm going to work on a little more. But those Friday night sessions were awesome. I had a lot of fun. I landed some fun stuff. I got my spins back. I was doing 1080s. And I think ultimately it might have paid off somewhat. I don't think it was as effective as I was hoping. I was more comfortable on the unicycle, but this trick is just what has to happen is so specific that I don't know if all of this riding really helped, but it was fun. So, I gotta put my dog out. One sec. Come on, Polo. Oh my gosh. So the other thing that was happening was like, even during the sessions where the technique was working for me and I was getting really close, I just broke so many parts. I broke so many spokes. I ruined 2 wheels. There's a third one where I broke a bunch of spokes. That one is probably salvageable. I ruined 2 pairs of cranks, and I was destroying pedals. Like on these attempts where I would land sideways on the tire and a pedal would hit the ground, sometimes the pedal would just explode. And I was just like rummaging through drawers in my garage looking for old parts, and this was like, it was so annoying. It was really, really frustrating because like sometimes these sessions ended on a thing that was just out of my control. So I'm battling like 3 different things here. I'm not in good unicycle shape. Just breaking stuff. And then I have this laundry list of mental cues I have to run through before every try. It just became like this logistical nightmare. Oh, the dog's back. One sec. And so eventually I could see my holiday break coming up on the horizon. I started this on August 11th. And now I'm looking at my Christmas break from work as a time where I'm like, finally I'll be able to try this maybe 2 days in a row. And I'm planning these sessions around my son's nap time. Like I'm like, I'll have like an hour and a half on the afternoon of the 27th and the 28th. And if I could do this on 2 back-to-back days, I could use one day to kind of dial in the technique and then one day to just piece it all together and commit. And I wanted to make it happen before the new year. And this is the longest I've ever spent in the phase of landing a trick where it's like a matter of tries. I don't know if you tried a difficult trick before, you just get to a point where it's like your technique is locked in and you just sort of have to get lucky on one of them. Everything has to line up. You've got to be perfectly over the unicycle. You've got to be balanced. Your feet have to land on the crank so you can hop, or on the pedal so you can roll out. And all of it just has to come together perfectly. And when your technique is locked in, it's just a matter of tries. And I've basically been at this point with this trick since like September, which is, it's frustrating. Every session became this battle. And I kept losing. I'm losing over and over. And I had to just like recontextualize unicycling in my mind. I'm like, this is different than when I was 19 or whatever. Other dog is back. One sec. And so I had to start to kind of just look at this as like a long-term thing, a little project that I'm working on kind of on the side. And when I get a chance, I can maybe make a little improvement here or there. And basically, I was hoping for a session where I would just get lucky and all of this would work. And I got this. And so I landed this. And then I got this new problem because I've been battling for this since August. And you get a try that's like this, where you kind of landed it. And then I just had to, like, I almost succumbed to satisfaction with this one because I was just so fed up with this trick. But I remember that when Steffi was trying it, he had one that he landed, air quotes, he landed one, but he didn't settle for his, so I kept at it. And eventually I succeeded. I was able to pull it all together. And this was the hardest trick I've ever done. I think it's a combination of all the things I already talked about, plus just like, you're riding backwards and you have to, like, I don't know, just riding backwards makes it harder. It's harder than a seat whip on tire, you're just hopping in place. It's static. There's less variables you have to control. So this was extremely hard. I'm proud of myself for doing it. I posted it right away. This is by far my most viewed unicycle clip ever of all time. This at the time I'm recording this, it has over 600,000 views on YouTube, and I think it's over 550,000 on Instagram. It's insane. The comments are it's kind of a mixed bag. You guys know what it's like. You get heckled riding a unicycle. Imagine Instagram comments, Some of them are brutal. Some of them are hilarious. I've been kind of distracted today looking at my phone. But yeah, this was something else. I just thought maybe you guys would be interested in the process there. Thank you to anyone who was trying this, who was commenting, like encouraging things. You guys are legends. I mean, you could hear in my reaction, this is pure exasperated relief. I'm a day removed from it now. I'm still just like stoked about it because I went for it and it worked out. It was good. So this was a bit rambly, but I'm hoping you found it entertaining or something. If so, give it a like, drop a comment. And we did it, boys. We got there in the end. You just got to keep going. Listen, unicycling, I'll tell anyone this. Unicycling teaches you the most important lesson it can teach you right off the bat. If you learn to ride the unicycle, you have learned everything you need to learn to do any trick you want, because you just did it. You have to just keep going until it happens. You have to keep pedaling, learning to ride. You got to make little adjustments here and there. It's so hard to learn to ride a unicycle, Once you've learned to ride it, you've learned you've learned the process for landing any trick you ever want to do. That's the thing that's stuck with me for, I don't even know it's been 19 years. It'll be 19 years this year that I've been unicycling now. So, yeah, that's crazy to think about. But anyway, I hope you guys like this. I'm definitely relieved. I'm happy to put this trick behind me. I'm a once and done guy. They say 2 to make it true. I say, if you, I got to come up with like a cool slogan for that. If you did it once, that's all that matters, I got to figure out a way to rhyme it. If you can get one, then you can be done. Anyway, like, subscribe. See you guys next time. Bye.